Hello, hello, and welcome. I'll put the gentleman up here right away. We're gonna need the room to the stream. We are here. So today's plan. Lately, we've done it a couple times where I've taken two things that don't go together, two different parts of the world, and mushed them together. I've done it several times recently, although only one of them on stream. Um, and they've been really good, and they've been a bunch of successes. And I also recently learned about stir frying like Italian pasta, and it works quite well. So I'm just driving in that direction again. We're just stabbing out in that general direction again. Um, and the title describes it. I've got some weird fruit as well because figured this is gonna have to simmer for a while, so that's a chance to check out some weird fruit. Got one of these. I've actually had this before, and I like it. I got one of these. This one still has the sticker on it. I got one of these. I've never had this before. That'll be an adventure. I tried one of these on the stream once before, and it was a bit of a disaster. I want to figure out how to use it properly, so that might be too ambitious for a fill space while the thing is simmering segment. We'll see. It's also not a dessert thing. The other two are going to be sweet, so I could turn them into some sort of dessert after I cut them open. Not this guy. So this one might go on the back burner. But I got one of them anyways. Big weird fruit. But yeah, that's the plan. We have had glorious weather here lately. Sun shining, bright blue skies as far as the eye can see. Birds are singing. Snow's almost all melted except for the piles. Just lovely. Without it being so, it hasn't gotten hot yet. We're still having cold nights and relatively cool days. So I love it. This is good, except for the muddy slop everywhere and the kind of all the snow melting. This is great. So let's get started. I'm trying out a different camera setup for the countertop today as well. Let's pop over there and I'll point at it. So as you can see, my black sheet that I put over here to trick the camera into correcting isn't here. Also, you can see that as I include a lot of dark space, it's not adjusting itself, but it's got these horizontal lines that I can't seem to get rid of. So hopefully they're not too much of a bother. What I really should invest in is a new light, because I'm pretty sure you can even see how the shadow kind of cuts off a little bit, kind of blurs out in that direction. It's because there's a bar light above here in this direction, and I'm certain that it's giving me these. It's giving us these lines. It's something to do with the hertz of the light and the hertz of the camera. And I just can't figure it out. But hopefully it's not too much of a distraction. Hopefully everyone isn't bugged by it. I much rather have the camera locked in brightness like this rather than it adjusting constantly. I just can't get rid of these lights. If any of you are tech experts, have any ideas how to get rid of this, short of buy a better camera that you can adjust stuff on more, because that's probably the solution. or buy a better light. So yeah, hopefully it's not too much of a problem. They're not going to go away. I've tried everything I can think of. We've got some stains on our board. Oh boy, every time I look over, they bug me. Pop over to, oops, camera, camera, camera. There you are. Huh. I gotta adjust the brightness on that one now too. Okay. Like I said, pop over to the stove. We're going to be building our sauce in the Dutch oven today. Normally I wouldn't build the sauces like this but because I typically pull out the Dutch oven when I want to be able to then take it and stick it in the oven. But we're not putting it in the oven in the oven today. We're going to build it all in here, and it's the thermal retention of the container that's going to pull the sauce together for us. And we have some variety of meats. This is definitely going to end up being some wonky fusion nonsense because I'm making a paneer curry, but we're putting in bacon and beef because I'm also making it into a bolognese-ish thing. And I'd like to get the bacon fat starting to render out in there before I do my mirepoix vegetables. So although I probably should prep everything so that I can decide as I go which ones need to go in when instead of scrambling. I have an awkward time buying small quantities of things for the show. When I ask for just a little handful of bacon, I get like half a pound of bacon. Because the people at the meat counter never understand, oh, I just need a little bit. As a buyer, there's no reason to buy large quantities if you're buying it a la carte like that. You can buy just the amount you need. Probably better because then you don't have extra. I mean, for bacon, you're probably going to use it. It keeps well and people like bacon. But for other things, just buy the amount you need. Don't think that you should buy more to appease some sort of sensibilities around the buying part. I didn't when I got this bacon, so now we're using it up. Because although I like bacon and I like eating bacon, I try not to eat a lot of bacon because it's not healthy. Limit to your intake of bacon. And we're going to start the bacon Start the bacon, cold pan, medium-low heat. I want to get the bacon fat rendering out. This is actually going to end up being a very almost old-fashioned French start to this. If you look at very old recipes, very old French recipes, the mirepoix calls for bacon and sometimes also ham right in it. That got scaled back over the years, and the mirepoix we're familiar with is just the carrots, celery, onion, usually in olive oil. At least the way I do it is olive oil. But as I'm putting bacon in here anyways, I figure I would use the bacon grease as the fat, so I'm not adding a bunch of extra fat. Because although olive oil is healthy fat, you still don't want a ton of extra fat. It's still fat and calories. And you run the risk of, hi bookwoman, welcome in. Not super familiar with the Sunday gravy. So, sure, why not? What was I saying? Oh, using olive oil to start this off would add a bunch of extra fat to the finished sauce that we would then have to account for, and it might end up being greasy. And I'd rather not have that, so we're using only the bacon. Because there's also going to be some fat coming out of the beef, because I'm also adding beef. For the start of this, it's going to sound a lot like just an Italian dish. Say, I've got someone here who's actually interactive. Trying a different setup with the camera. As you can see, I don't have my black sheet here. How are these, like, the lines aren't going away. This is as small as I could get them. How are they? Are they a bother? They bug me when I look over, but that's because, of course, I'm looking directly at them and being like, ugh, I wish those weren't there. You probably didn't even notice them until I called attention. Yeah. Well, that's good. I've been fussing with them, trying to get rid of them, but this is the best I could do. They're more noticeable when there's nothing here and it's just the blank counter as well, so that's probably part of it. I've actually got things going on. Well, I'm glad they're not too much of a bother. I will watch back the VOD when I'm done and see how I feel about them then. because it's just it would just be easier for me in terms of space utilization if I could not have the black square over here all the time. So I'm trying it out. Marinara. Well, I'm not shooting for a marinara. I'm shooting for a curry. So, no. Gonna go with no. Should we use a right? I don't know when else I'm going to use this enormous shallot, which I got as a novelty, but I don't know when else I'm going to use it. So we're going to just use it now. It's going to be the onion that I put in here. Because it's as big as an onion. And you can't let shallots sit around too long. They, just like onions, will eventually go off. So I wonder if it'll be extra oniony because it's so big. That's a possibility. Joker face. That Joker face emote is creepy. Oh, speaking of emotes, we, and by we I mean mostly me, but the collective we have reached a milestone, and I was not prepared for it. I should have been preparing for it, but I did not. We have reached a milestone, and I have unlocked the follower emotes. For those of you not aware, the follower emotes are available to people who have merely followed the channel. No need to subscribe. Although you can only use the follower emotes here on my channel, as opposed to on all of Twitch. I was not ready. As much as I was anticipating it, I was also not planning for it, and I don't have any ready to go. So now I need to drop some new emotes. But it is a big milestone. I also have yet to fill that emote slot that we unlocked for my birthday. Felix! Welcome in, welcome in. You are first. No one can ever take that away from you. I was just discussing emotes. Oh man, this is a spicy shallot. Ah, shoot. That's a spicy shallot. Yowza. Probably spicy because it's so big. Oh, it's the biggest shallot I've ever seen in my life. It's bigger than most of the onions I have. I bought it as a novelty, and I figured, hey, why not? Let's use it today. Well, instead of an onion, because it's so big. So big. But yeah, I unlocked we unlocked follower emotes and we unlocked some emote slots. I got a bunch of stuff to work on with emotes now. I had one open emote slot that I had to fill. Now that we've unlocked follower emotes, I have another 5, which is I was unprepared for. Yeah, I don't know who's breeding these shallots, but they got themselves a whopper here. Tiny Whisk emote, I have to make it, but is definitely one I can make. I should also make a lurking emote for people who want to just lurk. They can announce their lurk if they so choose. That's a good choice for a follower emote as well, because then all you have to do is follow and you can click lurk. But yes, since I have room, I was putting off trying to make a Tiny Whisk emote. I was going to swap out one of the ones that doesn't get used a lot, specifically the yucky one, because no one seems to want to use that one, because apparently I don't make yucky food. For the Tiny Whisk, but we didn't have instant upload, and the last time I tried uploading emotes, it took about a month and a half for them to approve it. But with the follower emotes, we also unlocked instant approval, which basically means I haven't screwed up. Basically, it means I haven't screwed up and offended them over at Twitch, so they are now just like, okay, well, we trust you not to upload anything that's lascivious, so we don't have to go through and manually approve your things anymore. We'll just give you the benefit of the doubt until someone reports you for something. Which means I can upload something like Tiny Whisk and have it appear right away. But I needed to make it. I scammed my way in. Okay, a lot of people do butt emotes, and a lot of people's butt emotes get very quickly reported and flagged. Twitch, the Twitch people hate butts for some reason. So I will not be doing a butt for that reason. They go out of their way on them, which is very unfortunate. Some long-time streamers have gotten struck for, honestly, some very tame butts. Let's hop over to our stove. Take a look at our bacons. We need a... Yeah, I need to take the time to make them, and they aren't all gonna... See, my first set of emotes was easy because I made myself a template of the Jupiter, and then I just applied different faces to it. So I could just crank out a bunch of them. And I can still do that. I still got the template. I saved it. But if I want to make anything special, anything different, that's going to be different. Oh, man, that shallot hecked me up. Ah. Oh. But we've got an animated one. So, okay, I'm gonna come clean. I don't know how to make a GIF at all. But I would love to make a GIF of the tiny whisk whisking. That would be so super cool. Okay. Our mirepoix. Oh, I forgot. This is gonna be very vegetable-y. That can get started. The forgot isn't a tragedy. But I have some pepper here. I was gonna throw some pepper in. Of the green variety. An ad approacheth. For those of you not subbed, caution. An ad approacheth. If you see an ad, that's a sign that maybe your sub has run out. The ads I've been seeing lately have been really, really weird. I see ads too. I don't see ads on my own channel, but I see ads all over Twitch. Have been really weird. I keep seeing this one for the Marines, the U.S. Marines. They're like, oh, the future is crazy. Look at all this future stuff. And then a city falls down, and trees sprout up all where the city was. And then a flock of birds flies out of it and transforms into drones. And it's like, are we going to war with nature? Is that what's happening here? Because it sure looks like we're going to war with nature. Oh, there's the ad. Officially in progress. Okay, salt on top to draw moisture out of our vegetables. And we pop back over, stir them around. They're going to have to cook relatively slowly now, because I would like to get as much of the moisture out of them as I can before I add anything else to this. So, and we've got quite a lot of it here. So, that said, I think we're going to tick it down another half a number on my dial there and shoot it with just a little bit more salt on the top. I know I'm salting quite early, but the salt will help the vegetables sweat it out. We could transfer them to the back burner, as I might want to do some beef in the front as well. In fact, I should do that. Back burner, same set point that I've got the front one on, and we're going to transfer these back there to sweat it out with the lid on, while I start prepping more ingredients. Quite a few things going into this, so a lot of prep time. This. This was listed as steak for sandwich. And it came pre-sliced into kind of long strips. I thawed it out yesterday, and I found that it wasn't really in thin strips. It was in these big, weird, like, sheets. And I ended up dicing it up for the thing that I cooked yesterday with it. Which was an exclusive to friend of the show, So Ever Dreams Discord, because I didn't post the photo anywhere else. And it also has gone a little gray since yesterday. So we definitely need to use it up post-haste. I had taken this specific meat to a, what's it called? The Japanese grill party thing. Thinking it would be good for that, not realizing that it was in such kind of big, weird sheets. Because this is not how I would not describe this as steak for sandwich. These are big, weird sheets. So I'm glad we didn't end up using it that day. There was plenty of other meat that was better. I just ended up refreezing it, which might be why it's going gray. It's not a hibachi. We did it at home. Well, I didn't do it at my home. I did it at a friend's home. I can't remember what it's called exactly in Japanese. But it's like this. You just got this hot cooker in the middle, and you're throwing meat on it, and then taking the meat off when it's done. Where I got this was one of the many times I found something in the discount bin and just grabbed it and chucked it in the freezer, thinking I'll eat that later. I'll have that for later. And when the later came, we didn't need it, and also it ended up not being appropriate. Since it's such sort of a weird thing, I don't even know what part of the cow this comes from. Yes, that stuff. Yakinku. Yakiniku. Since this was these big weird sheets, like these big sort of awkward weird sheets, would not have worked. I was not aware that it was shaped like this, that it was so weirdly shaped like this. Probably why it didn't sell, and then they put it in the discount bin in a shrink wrap, so you couldn't quite tell what you were getting because it was weirdly shaped. It's relatively tender, though. It cuts fairly easily. So it is honestly a decent selection of whatever part of the cow it is for the sandwich meat, because you just want to cook them briefly. I've never actually had Korean barbecue. I've had Korean barbecue flavored things, but I've never had the process, the experience of the Korean barbecue. We had a place in town that did not survive. I think it was a chain, but it did not survive COVID. And I never went there when it was open. Not ever. Not even one times. Shabu shabu. Yeah, there's lots of things this meat would definitely work with. Just not the specific thing that I thought it was going to be for. Um, Honestly, it's also by the looks of it. Again, I'm not sure what cut this is. It's something that's very lean. And since they've cut it thinly and intended it for sandwich meat, it's probably the kind of cut that gets tough very easily when you cook it. But then, so you want to cook it as little as possible. So they cut it very thinly so that you can cook it through on very short notice. I got it out because, as I've been told by some of you in chat, you should probably use some stuff up out of your freezer. So I did that. I grabbed a thing out of my freezer and was like, I'll use this up. But I don't think it's the ideal meat for what I'm doing with it here, because it seems like a fast cook meat, and I'm essentially going to be simmering it. So I want to cook it, or I want to cut it very, very small to ensure that the pieces have the best chance to kind of fall apart. I should be using, well, the cheap option would be chuck. And I actually picked up a little bit of ground chuck to supplement, just in case. And by little bit, I mean exactly what I was saying earlier, where I was discussing with the attendant at the meat counter how much I wanted, and I was, well, those burgers there are a quarter pound for reference. Less than that. Okay, about a third of a pound? Less than that. I asked for a small handful, and then I had him take half of the handful that he picked out back. Because that's the advantage of buying from the butcher counter or from the produce section, is you don't have to buy an entire package of something. You can buy just the amount you need, and it doesn't cost you anymore. There's no premium. When you buy packaged stuff, there's a premium for buying the small package, or rather, there's a discount for buying the big one because they're selling you more than you really wanted. Sometimes. Oop, why am I washing my hands already? I didn't move the meat. I came over here to set the knife down out of the way, and then I instinctively went to wash my hands. But I haven't even put the meat in the bowl yet. Now I wash my hands. Oh. But if I was if I didn't really have this meat out, thawed, ready to go, I would, and I didn't have any budget concerns, I would probably select short rib as my meat of choice. Since we're stewing it, I would still dice it up like this, or possibly grind it, although I don't have a meat grinder. But ground short rib would be excellent in this application. I'm going to take a look at my stuff. Our volume has come down quite a bit, and we are somewhere between steaming and boiling. Just give it a stir around. That's exactly what I wanted to see. The volume of the vegetables dropping, which concentrates their flavors. We're going to stop short of caramelizing any of it, but we're headed in that direction with it. Let's... Should I use this pan for this? Yes, let's use this pan for... No, let's not use that pan. Let's use this pan. Yeah, I can see there being variation in terms of hand size. But I also feel like when I asked for a handful, he kind of overshot. He used a little scooper. He didn't just use his hand. He used like a little paddle. So we're going to brown up some beef. And we're actually going to start with the thing I was just talking about, the small handful of ground chuck, because it's fattier and it'll get the pan started. He also kind of squished it together, so I'll have to break it up. But I want to get it browning right off the bat here. I wish he hadn't squished it. It was really a very nice loose grind in the case, but then he kind of Play-Doh'd it together. Which made it this really dense grind, which is not what I was hoping for, but here we are. Too late now. While that is getting started, let's assemble some flavors. I'm not going to get the paper sheet out this time. I'm just going to use a bowl. This is where we're going. Well, some of this is actually overlap between the two cuisines, but this is where we're going to start diverging from what currently looks like an Italian dish. Let me get all my stuff out. Ooh. So, some of the basic ones. Onion powder, in addition to the onion that's already in there. Garlic powder. Ooh, actually, that reminds me. Garlic powder, but we're also putting in some fresh garlic. Because why not? Holy crap! Well, in keeping with the theme of weirdly giant. Or is it? Maybe it's not. That came off as though it were one clove of garlic. It could be several stuck together, though. Oh, this guy is... He started peeling well. He's sprouting a little bit, so I really got to use him up, too. Almost forgot the garlic. If we're talking about getting the flavors together, the garlic needs to be the first thing, because as I've said 1,000 times by now, probably not 1,000 times, but yeah, this is definitely weird. It's like a clove that has itself cleaved. As I've said 1,000 times by now, garlic develops its flavor resting after you've crushed it up. So you should crush it up. And I need to go push that meat around in a sec. Ooh, that is another, wow, a lot of little sub-cleaves going on in here. So you should crush your garlic up, however you're planning on using it, as early as possible. At least 10 minutes ahead of when you plan on putting it in the heat, to ensure that those flavors have the most chance to fully develop and give you that lovely, rich garlickiness. Get the paper out of there. We need a smaller dish to hold the garlic there. We need to come over to the stove and okay. That beef is brown enough that I'm going to add the rest of it. And get all of this browning up. We do want to brown up our beef, especially. I did a little bit with the bacon before I added the vegetables to it, but it's less important with the bacon. But I definitely want to add brown the beef because it adds the flavors, that dark brown charring, the crust that forms on the outside of cooked beef. You can't get that in a simmer, which is why you'll see a lot of these recipes will call for specifically browning the meat and then adding it to the stewed whatever. Garlic. It's going in this one. Well, I hope this is tasty, because by the looks of it, I'm making... Oops. Oh, damn it. That's still good. And that right there is why you clean your floors. So that if you drop something on the floor, it's still good. Also to, prevent ants and mice. But that's secondary. What was I just saying before I dropped that? Don't remember. Oh, that I'm making quite a lot of this. The 4-second rule, or 5-second rule, or 10-second rule, or whatever number is on there, is a kind of a bunch of hogwash. Anything that gets on there, anything that's gonna get on there, gets on there pretty much instantaneously. That's been routinely tested by scientists, science people. Really, what you have to worry about is something wet that you drop. Anything that it falls on is likely to stick to it. So if you've got a bunch of grit on the floor or hair or something like that, it'll stick to it. Dust, pet dander. Okay, let's pop over to the stove. The beef is trying to boil itself. But I think is coming along well. So I can pop us back over and keep on keeping on. Let's clean that pile up. Should have had a scraps bowl right there instead of just piling it on the counter, but I didn't. Okay, this is going to be our first real divergence from Italian cooking, because thus far, everything that I've put in here could easily have just been an Italian dish. We're going to put in some ginger until I feel like it's the right amount of ginger. And I'm not bothering to peel my ginger. This is that same ginger I used last time that is slightly, it's not like it's gone off, but it's like a grayish color on the inside compared to normal ginger. Saizan, thank you for the moisten. Oh hey, there's a few more people here. So I will ask the question I asked right at the beginning. I have a slightly different camera setup this time. What do you think of it? And I initially said what was different and prompted response for the thing that I've noticed that's different with it. But I'm not going to do that this time. I'm just going to say slightly different camera. It's only for this camera. What do you think of it, if you can even notice a difference? This is not very strong ginger. The camera is not higher. The camera's in the same position it was before. Setup-wise, the thing that's different is I don't have my black sheet here. So I'm utilizing more of the space because I'm not trying to work around that black sheet. Exactly. Exactly. So it's an attempt at a different setup, and much of what I think is being noticed is that the camera is not automatically adjusting for light and darkness, which is why I don't have the color correction there, because I've locked the aperture at the brightness that I want it to be. Okay, our beef has cooked off. It's wet. The trade-off, and I don't know if you've noticed this. I noticed it immediately, but I don't know if you've noticed it. The trade-off for locking the aperture is these bands. Which are pretty subtle, honestly, but I noticed them. But then I'm super vigilant for them. Hand is redder. I'm not sure about that. I was fussing with a few other settings, so I might have adjusted some color tone, something or other. I got up measuring spoons, but I don't think I'm going to measure this. Come on. It's an interaction between the lights, the hertz of the lights, and the shutter speed, because these are LED lights. Your LED lights technically are flashing. They're just doing so at such a high rate of speed that your eye can't see it, but the camera, depending on your camera, can pick up on it. I can make them much, much worse. But I'm glad no one's really noticing them, because that's a sign that no one's really noticing them, that I'm just being picky about them. I can make them terrible if you want. I can make them about that big and moving really fast with all the various things I've tested out. Ooh boy, you can make them just unwatchably bad. It's actually kind of fun. So, turmeric, onion, garlic. Oop, this isn't even open. I'm glad that so far everyone I've asked has said, "Oh, I didn't even notice until you pointed at them." And that means that it's just me being picky. It's only on this one camera. Ginger powder. Let's see, I don't have all the things to make my own curry powder completely from scratch. Black pepper, because I don't think I have any fenugreek. The beef. I went over and stirred it around just a second ago. I don't think they look stronger on my end. I think that I'm just focused on them. Because I know they're there and I don't want them to be there, but just like artists are always much more critical of their own art than... Okay. So the beef, we've reached the point on the beef where I need to deglaze the pan and then transfer it into the rest of that stuff. So let's do that. I am going to use, for my deglazing purposes, sake. Get it in there and get scrubbing. And the stuff stuck on the bottom should, in the boiling alcohol, release from the bottom of the pan. And you want that stuff. That stuff is called fond. And I am fond of it. And you can only get it if you don't use a nonstick pan. It won't form in a nonstick pan. They're not strobe. I can make them strobe. If you want to see them terrible, I can show you them terrible. Oh, perfect. Okay, no, that has to go there. So that moves there. That goes on to the same sort of medium-low. We move this over here. We stir this around. It's also developing a fond because I think it was a little bit too hot. But we've started caramelizing our shallots, which is fun. And as you can see, our volume has come down 1,000%. Not literally 1,000%. Probably about a third of where it started. Having fond in the pot here is fine because it'll loosen up as we add some more liquidy ingredients later on. So we're back on medium-low. Have everybody play a little bit on medium-low before I move on. In the time it took me to scrape the pan out, more fond formed. That's a little annoying. Let's see if I can't get it out of there. When you loosen up your fond, you're supposed to do something with it right away because it'll try to re-stick as soon as the boiling alcohol is gone. Close enough. Tastes good. Leave that open. Nope. As in you don't want to see me make them go make the lights go crazy? Or nope, something else. What else goes in a curry blend? I know they're all different. coriander. We're gonna need my grinder. We're for sure gonna need the grinder. I have some coriander seed. Oh, I guess I haven't opened this one in a while. I know you want quite a bit of it. Ooh, that was close. I almost dropped a jar of stock on my computer. We're gonna break up a red chili pepper and a green chili pepper. Oh, you couldn't see that. I'm on the wrong angle. Yes, that would have been less than ideal. We may have had a sudden failure. Red chili pepper, green chili pepper. What is it? What else have I got? What else have I got that I can go for? A little bit of mustard. Not a lot of mustard, a little bit of mustard. Some cumin. Some already powdered cardamom can go in there with the guys. One of these claims to be a pre... Ooh, let's throw some allspice in. Here, this one is just curry powder. Let's see what they put in theirs. Turmeric, coriander, cumin, garlic, black pepper, fenugreek. I don't have fenugreek. Red pepper, cinnamon, fennel, nutmeg. Nutmeg. White pepper, cilantro, which we're not putting in. Cloves, cardamom, and ginger. We've already got ginger. I just put in the cardamom. Fennel. I just put in some... what did I just put in? Cumin. I just put in some cumin, which is on the list. Do I have any fennel? I do. Throw some fennel in. Fennel's also an Italian spice, so that kind of bridges the gap again. Just occurred to me that that mixture over there is probably getting a little dry, and I don't want it to burn just yet. So we're going to add a touch of water to it. Oh, yeah. Oh, and I almost forgot. I was given a moisten a little bit ago. I was distracted. 15 minutes ago now. Thank you for the moisten, Saizan. Moist. And I needed that. Wow. Ooh. Been chattering it up over here. I think we're going to skip the clove because clove is a little too much. I've got one here that's just labeled garam masala on a home printed label. I wish you guys could see the spice rack. Let's give this stuff a sniff. Ooh. Don't think I want that one, but ooh. Okay, spices. Get your crazy selves back on the shelf. Saffron. We could throw some saffron in. We're not going to throw some saffron in. But we always could. It's always an option to throw some saffron in to whatever. Because we have it. And what's the point of having any spice at all if you don't use it? Anyways, we're Do I want to add any nutmeg? I think we're going to skip the nutmeg too. So as many of you know, I'm in the no cilantro group. The cilantro tastes like soap camp. Ooh, that's a strong spice blend. In Europe, cilantro is more commonly known as coriander greens, or just coriander. Now we also have coriander, which is what we call those little round seeds I put in here, coriander seed. Those are in fact the seeds of the same plant as cilantro, and they do not set my cilantro sense off. So, hooray, but also, huh? Tiny whisk. Sniff it. Ooh, boy. Okay, it smells like a curry, so I think I hit my mark. We're going to add basil and oregano as well. Which I should have added to that pile of seeds, because the seeds help you get a grip on the leaves and really grind them up. So I'm going to add just the pinchest of salt to that to use as the abrasive instead. Because I'm going for a fine powder here. Here's our fine powder. Add it in, whisk it together. Turmeric's our dominant color here, but that will always happen with turmeric. Ooh. Okay, let's get back over to the stove top. Start adding some stuff. Our garlic and our fresh garlic and fresh ginger are getting added now. I can really smell the beef. We're not sticking, so that splash of water I gave it worked. We're going to let the garlic and ginger cook fragrant for a moment. Let's see, the grinder can go away. And every time I do this, I clean up I clean up the mess. There's always a mess just before I start, and then it all comes back. I need to cook less complicated things. Things with less steps. Let's see. You've slid off of your burner a little bit. Tiny can. A tiny can has appeared. Can we open it? Something, something, Bob the Builder. Anyone know what's in the tiny can? Not many things come in tiny cans. Okay, well, it is tomato paste. We're going to open the bottom as well. So that we can actually get it out of there. Although, you can't push the downside to this new can opener. You can't actually push through because they the lids are as wide as the container. Tomato paste, which is again taking us back to our Italian roots. It is that spiffy can opener. That's one of the downsides I just demonstrated. The fact that you can't just push the lid through. It's still worth it to take the bottom off to break the suction, but then you have to kind of get it out on your own. We need to get this in here so it can start cooking, because tomato paste has kind of a very raw flavor to it that needs some cooking. But our lids are so non-sharp that I can just casually handle them. So perhaps cutting one side with the fancy opener and one side with the classic opener would be a good idea, so that you can have one side that you can hold on to because it's not sharp, and then still push through with the other end. Again, the things in the pot thus far are pretty much entirely an Italian sauce. At least they were, because now comes our curry spice blend, the whole shebang going in. Very thick, which means I think it is time. I thought it was going to be a little bit thinner at this stage. We do not have to cook it out anymore. We're going to go right to the next bit. This one tells you what it is right on the lid. Your traditional bolognese often calls for milk or cream to be added to the sauce. Many curries call for coconut milk. I am appeasing both by adding coconut milk. Start with that much. Stir it in. We get a nice, fun orange color as the turmeric I assume it's the turmeric, dissolves in the liquid from the coconut milk and leaps to the forefront. I think I can add the rest of that can of coconut milk as well. Hard to save coconut milk. I actually just, I'm using this one up today, but I just picked up a new, it even says on the package new. I'll show it off now. I'll show it off now for you. I thought this was a great idea. So it's just one of your standard brands of coconut milk. It's the Thai Kitchen brand. In one of these little cartons, which means you can put the top back on when you don't need a whole container of it. And it has fewer ingredients in it than the canned version because there's no gums in here. It's just coconut and water, presumably to make it pourable, so it doesn't accidentally set up, because coconut milk will often have a bad habit of setting up as it sits in the storage like that. I thought that was a great idea, and I'm shocked that it's taken this long for one of the mainstream brands. Every once in a while I've seen something like that, but for one of the mainstream brands to jump on the resealable package, because I often don't want a full can of coconut milk for whatever I'm doing. That's often too much. Then I've got to figure out what to do with part of a can of coconut milk, which is annoying. So that was a fun discovery that I'm going to keep in mind and look for specifically in the future for all of my coconut milk buying needs. I'm going to scrape the sides down so they don't burn too badly. And then we are... It's a thick boy. It's a thick boy, even with all that liquid I just added to it. We're going to simmer it. Oh, you couldn't see the pot. Oh. Well, there they are. There it is. It looks similar to how it did a minute ago. It's not very liquidious. It's, in fact, definitely quite thick still. Much thicker than a curry would be at this stage. That tomato paste really definitely did a lot of work. I should also taste it at this stage so that I can check for seasoning levels. So I'll do that and then not comment on it. Ooh! No comment. I think it needs a little bit more liquid, honestly. Oh, interesting. Ooh, interesting. Sorry, no comment. Fascinating. I'm going to add another ingredient because I got this one out to add it, and I didn't add it yet. Sambal olek. Indian style. I think it's Indian style. Chili paste. I looked for this once before for a different project. It might not be Indian, honestly, because I think when I looked for it before, I was making an Indonesian dish. I couldn't find it then, so I substituted in Szechuan red pepper paste. But since then, I've found the real thing. So I'm going to add a generous scoop of that. and it's a spicy boy. In this case, the red is entirely from hot peppers, not from any kind of tomato. Oh, crap. Well, you can still see it. There it is. Which I will stir in. I'm worried about this whole mess sticking at the bottom, honestly, right now. The way it's cooking, it's boiling out the water at the bottom and forming like a steam pocket that is then trying to volcano through the thickened sauce that's still resting above it. Which is not ideal. See? Volcanoing. Heat down. Lid on. Trap the steam. I can hear it volcanoing in there. How do we get rid of that mud volcano effect? I want it to be thick, but I don't want it to be... But I want it to cook. A dilemma. I don't have any more coconut to add to it to thin it out. I could add some more. I could add some red wine. I could add a little bit of red wine. That goes in the Italian half of this. Do I have any red wine? There's a white. Red wine would also adjust the color a little bit. Do I have a red in here? I have a Cabernet and a Syrah. We're gonna go for the Cabernet. Not a ton of it left. That's fine. I buy cheap wines specifically for cooking. Because it's handy to have them on hand. Adding the alcohol at this phase of cooking pretty much ensures that there's going to be a little bit in the finished product. We're not going to be getting this up to a vigorous boil between now and when we serve it. So we're still going to cook off that kind of raw alcohol flavor, but there's always going to be a little bit in there. Now I added like maybe 2 tablespoons of wine to this half gallon of sauce. So our proof is unmeasurable. It's 0 proof because it rounds down to a 0 and you can't measure that low. But if you are extremely sensitive to alcohol, be aware that adding alcohol at this phase of any sort of liquid cooking, it's not going to burn off. When you add alcohol to a hot pan, it boils off and it gets rid of it. When I added it to the beef to scrape off the pan, that all boiled away because the pan was hot and it all literally boiled off. Not so here. I can hear it volcanoing in there. I can hear it, and I don't like it because it's not supposed to do that. Although I don't know what this is supposed to do because no one's ever done this before. This specific weird combination. I'm moving it back to the back burner, turning the front off. I don't need some noodles for this too. I wanted it to be simmering at this stage, and it is not doing that. It is mud volcanoing. Which means I think our beef is not going to tenderize because it's not simmering. Pot of water, high heat. What shape of noodle, or what variety of noodle even, should I use? Should we go for Italian or should we go for an Italian pasta or an Asian noodle? And if Italian pasta is your choice, what shape? You know what? I'm just going to add some straight up plain old water to this. Because I want it to be thin enough to sort of simmer. And then we can cook it back to thickness pretty easily later. But I want it to be able to simmer. Right now. And I haven't forgotten the other word that's in the name of the thing that I've named this. At the moment, I have a curry ragu that we're going to simmer on temperature 4. Oh, gotta moisten me as well. I just dumped my moistening water away. Thank you for the moisten. Moist. There is another ingredient, because what do you put on top of Italian pastas? Parmesan cheese. What cheese do you put in a curry? Paneer. What cheese have I selected? It's paneer, because I'm excited for paneer. Here it is, Paneer Indian cheese, prepackaged for your convenience. Let's get it out of there. Now I would cut this actually with my cheese slicer, but the wire just broke on my cheese slicer, so I need to rewire it. But so we're going to use a knife. And just crack this guy in half. You better be simmering, not mud volcanoing on me. Still mud volcanoing, I'm being mad. What is that? Oh, it's the pump on my refrigerator. There's this, I heard this popping sound coming from behind me. I couldn't put what it was. It's the compressor on the refrigerator just starting to kick up. So, paneer, it looks like cheese. Because it is cheese. It's a very firm cheese. It's not sticky. So you can cut it with a knife pretty easily. So not having the cheese slicer is not a huge loss. We're going to cut into little cubes. Save the rest. Wait till you see this stuff in action. Maybe you've already seen paneer in action. Oop, not that part. That part goes in there. Almost. This is why I didn't use the other pan. Oh, actually, here's what I'm going to do. We're going to switch around our locations. Oops. You go on high. You go on off. You go on move over to the back corner. Front one cools off a little bit so that I can get it reheated. And we get out my other pan, which I'm not going to put directly on there because it's currently blazing hot and there's nothing in that pan. But wait till you see this stuff in action. It's surprising. Keep in mind that it's cheese. So, okay. Honestly, I kind of want to put the pot in the oven and use it like a Dutch oven. Because I think it might simmer better in there. I didn't preheat my oven though. I'm going to do that. I'm literally going to do that. I'm going to turn this front burner off. Take this guy and plunk him in the oven. He's already hot. So as the oven heats up, he should stay that way. That's a little awkward. I should have done that right away, honestly. You're still pretty hot. Oh. I don't want to oil this just yet. I want to get our pot. I didn't hear anyone say anything about the noodles. So rigatone is going to be our noodle of choice because I believe our sauce, our thick sauce, will get up in the holes, in the tubes, and provide us with good flavors. And that is my decision. Cavatappi would also be good. You know, traditionally rigatoni was my favorite shape of pasta. I really liked eating it. I think that over time we have switched. We have slid over to cavatappi as my favorite sort of all-rounder shape. Not sure when that happened, but the shapes, of course, for one thing, the shapes are named after just words in Italian that describe them. So if you want to call a bow tie, and you want to call a wagon wheel, you go right ahead. The Italian words are just as simplistic. They're just in Italian. But also the shapes do different things. So the ones that have big openings in them that you can peek through are meant to be filled with sauce. So you put them in things with a thick sauce so it can get stuck in there, and when you scoop these up and eat them, they've got little pockets of sauce inside them. Thick, chunky sauce. Because chunky sauces, the chunks tend to fall off of long, thin noodles. Actually, Speaking of which, our sauce isn't very chunky. Our sauce actually is more on the creamy side. And creamy sauces you want to put on long noodles because it sticks to the surface, and long noodles give you a lot of long sticking surfaces. So maybe we should do a linguine. I have a lot of shapes available, but maybe we should do a linguine. Whenever I see pasta on sale, I buy like a bunch of different random shapes, so I'll have them handy whenever I need a certain shape for something. Let's see, things are simmering. Okay, yeah. Let's set the cheeses aside. I'm going to put them in a little dish because we're going to fry them in a minute. My water is just about up to a boil. I'm going to give it a dash of salt. I promised you, if I had time when stuff was simmering, I got some weird fruit that I want to crack into. So once the noodles go in the pot, I'm going to crack into one of them. That one. I'm going to crack into one of them as soon as those noodles go in the pot, because that'll give us about 10 minutes to think about the fruit while the noodles are just doing their thing, and the sauce gets to know itself in the oven, and the cheese doesn't take very long to fry, so that's gonna be real quick at the end, anyways. And then I don't know, we'll throw a scallion on it or something. So, talking about the shapes, I convinced myself to go with linguine, even though I initially selected rigatone. Sorry, not linguine, fettuccine. I don't know what all the Italian words mean, so I don't actually know what fettuccine means in Italian. In Italian, how you speak Italian, you talk like this. All right, that's probably racist, but I love Italians. I'm hungry today, too. I didn't have a proper lunch. I had a very light, weird lunch, so I'm rather hungry. So we're going to go for it. Fortunately, I was not hungry when I was shopping today. That's the worst. Hungry shopping, you end up buying half the store. You can't quite see. Well, you can if I angle the camera up. Boop. And then those guys, as the bottoms soften, will sink gently into the pot. There they go. Look at them go. Except for that one, which looks like it got stuck. There we go. So while they are doing their thing over there, we're coming back over here, and we're going to open up one of these weird fruits. Starting with this one. Does anyone know what this fruit is? Does anyone have a guess what this thing could possibly be while I clean the cheese residue off my knife real quick? It's one that I am completely unfamiliar with. It's a total mystery fruit to me. comes from somewhere in South America. It's supposed to be edible as is. I don't know how to tell when they're ripe. I just hope this one is. I picked a small one as well, most because I wasn't sure about them. But this was by far the smallest one. Most of them were at least 3 times this size. So I'm wondering if maybe the small one, there's something wrong with it. Didn't quite grow up. I'm trying to cut it like an avocado, but it is not. That is not how you cut this, apparently. It's tough. I know there's a pit in there because on the picture next to it, there was a pit. Ooh, it's... Ooh, wow, what is that smell? Oh, what? It's... Okay. It cut, damn you. There's the pit, which we remove. It's bright orange like a sweet potato on the inside, and it's hard like a sweet potato. It's got the texture of a sweet potato. Okay. But it... Oh, God, it smells so good. I thought it was going to be juicy on the inside, but it's dry. Oh, I need to come up with some words to describe it. Oh, man, just smelling it makes me want to cook with it, though. It makes me want to do stuff with it. It smells like... Oh, that's why I love it so much. It smells like sweet almond, like a sweet almond extract. And like vanilla a little bit. Wow, it smells a lot like... Let me compare directly. I've got a little bottle of it here. Almond extract, like amaretto. Yeah, that's exactly what I'm smelling. That's why I love it so much. It's fading now already that I've cut it. But that's what it smells like. It smells like amaretto. Wow. Let's give it a taste. It's hard. And crunchy. And starchy. Oh, man. It tastes great, though. It's got a really interesting flavor. A little bit of the amaretto, again, coming through. But then that fades away, and it tastes like custard. But it's really hard and chewy. Like, you can hear it crunch. It's man, that's a dramatic contrast because the flavor is really nice, but the texture is like dry. I wonder if this one wasn't quite ripe yet. Ooh, damn, though, I love that flavor. It's so good. I didn't say the name of it. I was waiting for people to guess. This is called a meme sapote. Native to Mexico and Central America. Ooh, dang, that tastes good. I got to figure out what to do with this, though, because I love the flavor and I hate the texture. It's super dry. It has the texture of a very under-ripened fruit, which makes me think that this one isn't ripe or something's wrong with it. Like it's not juicy at all. There's no juiciness to it. And the description here says the fruit's texture is creamy and soft, which makes me really think that this one wasn't ripe. Which is unfortunate now. I'm not sure how to tell when they're ripe then, because they all look the same, other than this one being small. Mmm. I absolutely love the flavor. God dang. I gotta figure out what to do with this. I hate to waste this, especially since it tastes so good. But if it's under-ripened, then I've occasionally seen these sitting there and been like, someday I'll give that a try, and then I never did. And I picked this one because it was the smallest one that they had available, because I had no idea if I would like it or not. I didn't want to waste my time on a big one and then throw it away, because they weren't the cheapest in the world, but they're so tasty. That's going to require some experimentation, because I do not want to throw it away, even though it's under-ripened and weird, because it tastes so good. The flavor is so good. Probably just because I picked such a small one in an attempt to avoid getting a bad one, or getting something I didn't like, that I ended up picking one that was underdeveloped, since almost all of the rest of them were at least 3 times this size. Fascinating. I don't know what to do with it on account of the weird texture. I guess I'll have to pulverize it, blend it up. I wish, because it's... Hmm. Let's check up on our noodles. Our pasta. Get one, please. Pasta's not quite there. Pasta's not quite there, but I've turned the heat onto this pan, because by the time the pasta's there, we're going to want this. Fascinating fruit. I do love trying the big weird fruits. I evidently should have gotten the bigger, weirder one instead of hedging my bets with a small one. Whenever I see them again, I will attempt to go for ones that have more of a squish to them, if they're meant to be soft when eaten, according to the description here I'm reading on Wikipedia. Not a sponsor, because they don't sponsor anyone, because they're a not-profit. We're going to use a neutral oil, just a dab, just a dab. You don't need much. Okay. What we're doing here is, I'll remind you, this is cubed cheese. Oh, I guess I need a scraper because they're gonna catch on the edges. So this is what's fun about paneer. It just does not want to melt. We are sticking a little bit more than I think I was expecting. So I shouldn't let it rest too much and let it toss around. But we are not melting. We can toss this, except that it catches on the edge where there's no oil. And in short order, it starts to develop color. And I want that color on it. Before I add anything else to this pan. It keeps sticking, but it's sticking up where there's no oil on the naked pan. So you definitely have to oil your pan for this stuff. Paneer is fascinating. I looked up why it does this. Whereas most cheeses will melt, paneer does not. And it's because it's not curdled using rennet. It's curdled using only acid. And the acid, quite a bit of it, as we're browning up, the acid breaks down the proteins in the cheese, in the milk. And then when you let it set, those broken down, unwound proteins bind together with each other and form a stable, oops, dropped one, and form a stable structure that doesn't melt under heat. Instead, it softens a little bit so that when they're cold, they're very firm. So it softens it a bit. But then the surface does this. It browns. I'll remind you, this is cheese. I'm tickled by the existence of this stuff. It's cheese that doesn't melt. Ugh. Okay. We're opening up our pot of sauce, and we are doing this the Italian way. You can see how hot that pan was. I wasn't fooling about it being cheese in a hot pan browning. It's actually a bit too hot right now. Bit of a loud sizzle. But this is how you do pasta service Italian style. You sauce a pan, and then you put the pasta into the sauce with the pan. Simmering our sauce in the oven was the correct thing to do as well. It was getting a nice sort of well-rounded simmer from all sides instead of mud volcanoing up from the bottom. Final touch is going to be some greenery. Of which I'm removing the stems and discarding today, which is always a little bit sad, but don't have a use for them this time. Okay, this is our dish. This is our, mostly, I just need to scrape it and toss it. Oh, we stick a little bit. So you can stir fry Italian noodles, Italian pasta, but you have to be a little careful. They do stick if you let them sit still. That's the one trick. Here we are. Click that screen over. Get that guy off the side. And for the photo, I'm going to add one extra dollop of our sauce. Top and center. And there you have it. And there we have it. Oh, and we're a hungry boy today. So let me clean up the plate real quick. And garnish with a sprig of parsley. Ooh, actually, I'll get the outer skin off of this guy. As long as we're garnishing with one of the halves things, let's garnish with the other halves thing. Some freshly sliced scallion. I've got an old one here with one papery layer that I've got to take off. And one kind of lousy end and a little end. And I guess I don't want that part. Okay, let me go grab some photos and then come back and taste this. Now we've done the Indian food thing for sure, and it looks a lot like kind of a mass of saucy goo. I've noticed many Indian dishes kind of gravitate towards saucy goo, which isn't a bad thing. Saucy goos are some of my favorite foods. It makes dressing them up a little bit trickier. Probably too many photos this time. The more photos I take, the more time it takes me to post stuff because I have to sort through all those photos. Here we are, and I got tons of this sauce left, so I can do this again. Here we are. Let me dive in and tell you all about what I've created here. Oh, it does look a little bit more red on the camera. It's very orange in real life. So, reminder of what this is. This is a curry isosceles. You're here just in time for the tasting. And my telling you what this is. This is a Paneer Curry Bolognese Ragu, or Ragu Bolognese, on fettuccine. So we smashed India and Italy together recklessly. And this, hidden over on the edge here, is this weird fruit that I'm going to have to figure out what to do with because I would hate for it to go to waste because it cost me like $8 for that fruit. Mmm. 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 Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mmm. 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 Okay. No, no. No, no, this is delicious. No, this is... There's so much going on here. There's so much going on here. No, it's a little bit spicy, but it's definitely still warm, but it's not like it's burning my mouth or no, there's just so much going on. This is great. This is let me get a chunk with the piece of cheese in there too. It tastes like a fusion. It doesn't taste like one thing and the other thing. It tastes like a whole new thing, but you can still pick out the constituent parts. Mm. So here's what we got going on. It's I actually probably oversauced this because it is a heavy sauce like a bolognese. So the extra scoop of sauce on the top was probably excessive. It's a heavy, rich, meaty sauce. So a smaller dollop will do you. But it has this wonderful creaminess. It just coats your mouth instantly. It's filled with these rich spices, but it still has that sort of savory pasta sauce. You know what this would be good in is a lasagna. A curry lasagna with this stuff as the meat sauce layers. Mmm. No, this is great. Damn. Let me say, I'm glad I recorded this one. I'm gonna write this one down. Oh, cripe, this is good. And I just kind of made it up. Oh, this is good. The chunks of cheese in here at the end, they don't taste like much. I'm not gonna lie. They're getting lost in the rest of it, but they have such a nice texture. They've got a chew and a little bit of a squeak with a lovely crusty exterior from being fried in the pan. Um, they're not contributing to the flavor, but that is fine. There is more than enough contributing to the flavor of this. It is like a roller coaster of flavor with every bite. It just goes through so many different things. I take another bite and actually think about it. Mm, mm. The first thing that rolls over me is it tastes a lot like a vodka sauce. That sort of creamy tomato flavor combo. And then the curry spices emerge from that creamy tomato vodka sauce flavor. And then as they kind of thin out, you get this intense meatiness that rolls in from all the meat I threw in there. Um, and all shot through it, it's got this sort of it's spicy, but it's sort of a slow burn. This is this is luxuriant. This is oh boy, this is a it the two halves, the two disparate halves of this, the bolognese and the curry are not fighting with each other at all. Neither one is winning, neither one is overriding the other. They are both fully present, and I absolutely love this. I absolutely love this. Um, mm, we're writing this one down. We're making this one official. Hot dang. It doesn't look like much. I'm not going to lie. It looks like kind of a pile of glop, but God dang. There's a few things I would change. One, I would sauce it less. It does not need as much sauce as I put on this. Um, because the sauce is so rich. You need less of it. I would also swap out that weird meat I was using because I was just trying to use that up. I would, if I had my pick of meats for this, I would grab beef short rib and grind it. I'd use that as the beef, and then I would still use the bacon as the other meat. But again, those are like, if I was nitpicking, there's no reason to nitpick this. You can make this with cheap, crappy ground beef. I know I'm just gushing about it, but that, oh boy, this might be the best. This is a top 5 for sure. This is a top 5 for sure. Dang. God dang, that's good. There's plenty of leftovers too. It made a ton. I should add up how much this cost. This can of tomato paste was about 50 cents. A can of coconut milk was like $2. If I just did ground beef, that was probably up, I don't know, $6 worth of ground beef. Dang, I'm sad there's no one here to share this with. What the heck are you all doing? Get over here. Dang. Sorry. All I'm doing now is just gushing and praising myself for this thing, but wow. Well, that was quite the adventure, and we had our secondary discovery of this weird fruit, which is very badly underripe. But even badly underripe, I kind of adore the flavor, and I really want to figure out what to do with it, even though it's badly underripened. So I'm going to I'm not going to deal with it right now. I'm going to bag up this fruit and return later and try to make this fruit into something worth eating, because the flavor is fantastic, but the texture is terrible because it's so underripened. And it really makes me want to find a ripe one of those, because if it's that tasty when it's not ripe, I can only imagine when it is. Golly gee. Well, I spent the past 15 minutes just gushing about how good this stuff is. I really wish I could share it with all of you. I will have to work out how to share it with some of my friends, because it is, because I've got quite a bit of it and it's real tasty. But for now, we are going to end on a high note and raid away. Let's see who's on. Let's see, I was watching Ever before I started and heckling him about his own food choices. Well, not entirely in jest, heckling. I'm sure he would love to hear about this, but I think we rated him recently. Last week we rated Jen the Human, who then immediately rated us off somewhere else, which was fun. What's LaFay doing? What's Laney doing? Got some new people on the list here. What's George doing? I'm not going to be able to stick around wherever we go. I've got another engagement soon, which is what I gotta write right now. So we're just going to pick our old standby with LaFay. LaFay's always a good time. He's playing Wolfson Lords of Mayhem, which I'm unfamiliar with. So jump in and ask all about Wolfen Lords of Mayhem. Uh, and then I'm going to go eat this and gush about it just to myself while I'm eating it because it's that good. Um, wow. We're gonna have to watch. I'm gonna. I don't often. Ooh, I touched the camera. I touched the mic. I don't often watch back my own shows because I don't like listening to my own voice in the recording a lot. But we're gonna watch back so that I can write down this thing and get it right because ooh, it's a good one. Ooh, it's a good one. Um, anyways, yes, I was mentioning at the beginning, I unlocked a bunch of emote slots. I've got, I think, 9 emote slots to fill now. So I heckle me if I don't have those ready by next time, because or at least most of them, because I've got them now. Everybody say hi to LaFay. We're gonna go tell her what I made and how delicious it is. See you next time.